Germany is turning into a full-blown dictatorship. JD Vance in the Munich Safety Conference 2025 said the following.
This conference, of course, to discuss security, and normally we mean threats to our external security. I see many great military leaders gathered here today. But while the Trump administration is very concerned with European security and believes that we can come to a reasonable settlement between Russia and Ukraine, and we also believe that it's important in the coming years for Europe to step up in a big way to provide for its own defense, the threat that I worry the most about vis-a-vis Europe is not Russia, it's not China, it's not any other external actor. And what I worry about is the threat from within, the retreat of Europe from some of its most fundamental values, values shared with the United States of America. Now, I was struck that a former European commissioner went on television recently and sounded delighted that the Romanian government had just annulled an entire election. He warned that if things don't go to plan, the very same thing could happen in Germany too. Now, these cavalier statements are shocking to American ears. For years, we've been told that everything we fund and support is in the name of our shared democratic values.
So, as a German who left Germany 2 years ago and has been watching the process going on from outside the country, then I can absolutely confirm that JD Vance is right. And I think that it's actually worse than he says, because I know the inside information of what's going on in the country. And I personally had the police show up to my apartment because of social media posts in 2021. Let's start with the biggest case right now that is obviously showing why Germany is losing freedom of speech and turning into an authoritarian state. This year, the journalist Julian Reichelt is investigated under incitement of hatred under the German criminal code, which says that if you incite hatred against ethnic or religious groups, you can be jailed with up to 5 years in prison. I personally think that that law is ridiculous in itself and should be banned in Germany because it is an infringement of free speech, and his case will show you why. He referred to a documentary which was made by the German state TV, basically, that showed how the German police is infiltrated by criminal Arab clans. Okay, so there's clearly a development how the police is getting more corrupted and looks away from people who are actually criminal. Actually, the whole country is working like that. If you think about the fact that we have illegal migrants who are criminal coming across the border every day, and the government doesn't look, the police doesn't do anything. And this is a very dangerous development because in states like Mexico, where the government also doesn't do anything against the criminal clans. That's why those countries are so dangerous. Now, in Germany, we actually have the development that we start to see a corrupted country like in Mexico, but with an authoritarian implementation of freedom of speech like in Asian countries. So we have a mix of literal nuclear bombs that are absolutely going to destroy democracy. So he just cites fact that the German police is starting to become infiltrated by Arabs, and because of that, he's investigated for incitement of hate. Facts are incitement of hate? No, they're not, okay? This guy, he was even fired in 2021 from his old newspaper job because he had affairs with colleagues. They already cut his balls off. They already cut his dick off and told him it's basically criminal to have sex with coworkers, despite the fact that the media company he was working for back then actually found no evidence for sexual harassment. So after he already had this, he founded a new media company. And now with this media company, he's uncensored speaking about the problem that Germany faces. And he gets now criminally investigated for that. That is crazy. Germany, wake up. If you continue to go this path down, I've been to 11 countries in the last 2 years, including corrupted ones, including authoritarian ones. You start to implement more and more of those dynamics in your country, and I am getting fucking terrified at this point. This is not a country I can live in anymore. as a free spirit, as an entrepreneur, it's impossible for me to live in Germany. Okay, I'm more radical than Julian Reichelt, the guy who gets an investigation where he could technically go to prison for 5 years. I have to be more afraid in Germany than I am in Malaysia for speaking freely, which is a Muslim state with Sharia law and blasphemy laws. That's insane. Example number 2. In 2024, a German man shared a meme about a German politician who's literally an idiot, who's incompetent, who publicly said on TV when we had the energy crisis in Germany, where energy prices went up in an insane manner. He said that the industry is not going to go bankrupt. They can just stop producing. Yeah. And then they can start producing a couple of months. And everybody in Germany was like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? The businesses will go bankrupt if they stop producing. So this man shared a meme on X where he called him a Schwachkopf, which literally in German means weakhead. The politician that he insulted filed a defamation lawsuit against him. He filed 800 defamation lawsuits since 2022. So because he was defaming his public image. No, he was just calling him out on what he is, a fucking idiot who shouldn't be a politician in the first place. And instead of taking responsibility and changing the policies, or better even, as stepping down, he filed a defamation lawsuit against this guy. He was found guilty for other memes. He was fined with 800 euro, I think, for anti-Semitism, and later 5,000 euros, which is about $5,000 for the insult. And he could have gone to jail with this, okay? So this isn't like some fucking joke or like ha 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 ha. No, this stuff they apply in every state that is considered authoritarian, Vietnam, Thailand, Laos. There, when you criticize the government will use rules where they say this is propaganda and dangerous for the state in order to shut down their citizens. Germany is already an authoritarian state, and they will increasingly put people in jail for speaking up freely. This is crazy. Stop this shit. What the fuck is going on with you guys? Yeah, I've been persecuted for years for speaking freely in that shit country, in this shit society of people who are not able to have somebody hurt their feelings. This is a childish, this is an infantile society. Who are you to say that this guy cannot criticize you or make a joke about you? You live in a democratic, free society. It is necessary for you that you have other people making jokes about you, okay? The kings in the past were not willing to accept that other people make jokes about them, and then they put people in and executed people for making jokes about them. If you cannot make a joke about people above you especially, then there is no freedom of speech. The people on the top should have the highest level of humility when it comes to criticism, because they get paid by those people they're putting into jail, okay? By force. They should be on their knees thanking the German people instead of persecuting them. And the German people as well, it's not just only about the politicians. They need to wake the fuck up, or they're going to find themselves in a Stasi-like state, because this is the guy who got fined for this insult also said that this is Stasi-like Secret Service tactics to shut down the population. I cannot recognize my country anymore, and certainly for the future, I cannot plan to live in that country with the laws that are happening there. There's no freedom of speech. There's no guaranteed freedom of speech. With these kind of laws, incitement of hate, with the defamation laws, with the censorship that the state is doing, it is impossible. European countries do not have the same protection against their government as you have in the USA. So I will be spending my time in Latin America in the next years, and then the USA long term, or in South America. I will not be going back to that country and pay 60-70% of my income to a state that is persecuting me. Fuck you, people. And if you want to file a lawsuit, go ahead. Unbelievable.